Last time on Dragon Ball Z, Frieza finally took off the kid gloves and showcased to the Z homies his final form, and shortly after doing so, made an example of the Prince of all Saiyans, brutally torching the proud warrior before leaving him a broken mess in the middle of the battlefield. Before finishing the job, Son Goku, Namek and Earth's final hope against the universe's greatest terror, made an appearance and in a quick display of power, showcased that he is much different from the Kakarot that first arrived on the planet, and Frieza would not be getting his way so easily. Vegeta, pleased at the sight of a Saiyan putting up more than a fight against Lord Frieza, was quick to comment on his bemusement seeing Frieza finally have to take a fight seriously, and informed him that Goku had finally become what Frieza feared the most, a Super Saiyan. With one final cap leaving his lips, Frieza decided that he heard enough out of the prince for one lifetime and finally ended his royal bloodline. Goku, now taking up the mantle as the pride of the Saiyans, entered into a legendary battle with Frieza in a back and forth bout that will go down in the history books as one of the greatest fights of all time. After raining a series of heavy blows upon Frieza, he finally made Frieza acknowledge his power, forcing him to use both hands in an effort to defend himself when previously he believed this would not be necessary. After quite literally forcing Frieza's hand, Goku also gives him a quick piece of advice. He tells Frieza that he is far too confident, and this inflated sense of self that he has causes him to leave himself wide open for attacks that he should not be getting hit by. The irony of Goku imparting this wisdom to Frieza after the way he has been characterized in Super is not lost to me, and only furthers my disdain for Super Goku, who seems to have lost every single piece of character development he gained throughout the series. But back to the matter at hand though, Frieza chuckles at the advice Goku imparted, but once again acknowledges that Goku is strong, astoundingly strong, and gives him one last ultimatum: come to his side and join the Frieza Force as his new muscle, or prepare to be put in an early grave here on Namek. Goku fires back that he doesn't feel like he will be taking either of those choices and believes that there's a third option Frieza may have forgotten to offer. Frieza laughs coyly and then tells Goku that it's been fun, but he has grown tired of the fight, and even with the strength Goku has been holding back, he believes this fight will only require 50% of his maximum ability to properly end things. Goku stares at Buddy for a minute, then smirks and tells him to stop the cap, because there's no way he's been holding back all that kind of power. The battlefield remains quiet for a moment longer. Frieza stances up and there's a shift in the air. Right at this moment, Goku realized that this dude really wasn't lying, but it's too late because by the time he registered this, Frieza hit him square in the face with the craziest look away elbow of all time. Then dude takes a minute to breathe in the bust ass he just committed before charging back in, leg sweeping Goku, then giving him the Vegeta special, wrapping his tail around his neck before hitting Goku with another nasty elbow square in the midsection.
Why he walking like that?
Goku attempts to go on the attack this time, charging in for a direct assault, but is met with a nasty roundhouse that leaves him flying across the dirt and on his back. It's around this time that Piccolo begins having Krillin and Gohan write their wills, realizing that even though Goku is insanely nice at this point, there is too big of a difference in their reserves of power, and their chance of making it off this rock in one piece just went down to a cool 0. Up at King Kai's place, the C team are getting the play-by-play with King Kai's pay-per-view satellite connection. King Kai's sweating out of his quadruple XL t-shirt thinking about the fate the universe is about to catch due to Goku and company's running up on this man Frieza. Tien, not realizing that his permanent vacation on the planet may have just been booked without his consent, smiles and comments that all hope is not lost yet and that Goku still has the Kaioken transformation in his back pocket to even the odds. King Kai doesn't even make contact with dude, not having the heart to let him know that Goku has already been using the tenfold Kaioken technique this entire time just to keep up with Frieza, who was not even at half capacity. After this reveal, we return to Goku, who was knee deep in one of the worst ass beatings of his life. After taking yet another elbow shot from Frieza, Frieza stops his onslaught and launches an attack that lands right in front of Goku. After seeing his whole life flash before his eyes, he takes a second to process and realizes that the attack wasn't intended for him, but rather a momentary display of power, with Frieza slicing up a sizable portion of the planet just to show Goku that he can mop the entire place up at any moment if he decides to get serious. Goku, really starting to realize for the first time that he may have bitten off more than he can chew, decides to go all in on his next attack. Without knowing the potential damage to his body, he powers up with a Kaioken times 20, charging in at Frieza and landing an attack for the first time in a long time against Frieza, who seems to be taken off guard by a sudden burst of energy. After landing a punch that sends Frieza flying, Goku gathers his remaining ki and fires off everything he has into a times 20 Kamehameha that lands a direct hit on Frieza. After a massive explosion and a burst of light from the smoke, we see a Frieza who completely no-sold the attack, nullifying the entire burst of ki with a single hand as he looks down at a completely drained Goku, who is now seemingly out of options. We then cut to Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin, who are all experiencing various levels of stages of grief, watching their last hope get his cheeks busted right in front of their eyes. Gohan and Krillin are firmly in the denial stage, refusing to believe that a monster of Frieza's magnitude is allowed to even exist in this world, while Lord Piccolo has reached divine acceptance. Buddy is literally smiling while watching the fight, telling them that it's over, bros, and this is exactly what they get for thinking they could run Frieza's fate in the first place. As Piccolo starts giving Gohan and Krillin the crash course on mealtime options they can expect at King Kai's place, Goku is dealing with a supremely pissed off Frieza who is none too amused that a monkey would dare leverage an attack on him that would hurt so damn much. Frieza makes his way to the ground and stares at a Goku who is now barely able to stand. What occurs next is a Vegeta tier washing. Frieza flies in with a headbutt to this man Goku and proceeds to go to town. He kicks Goku all over Kami's green Namek, as Piccolo and company are forced to watch in much the same vein as what happened to the prince earlier. As the beating gets worse and worse, Gohan decides that he can no longer watch and attempts to fly in to help his pops. Piccolo stops him though after noticing something weird about Goku's actions during this time. Piccolo picks up that when he's not on the floor writhing in agony, he has his hands up in the air in a weirdly meditative pose. Krillin recognizes this as the Genki Dama and explains to Piccolo how this is a secret technique Goku learned from Kaiosama, where he gathers the energy from the living things nearby and turns that into a weapon against evil opponents. With the honesty of a small child, Gohan remarks on how 90% of the planet has been murked, so this spirit bomb ain't gonna be much to talk about if it's just a life on Namek. Shortly after this, the remaining Z homies look in the sky and notice a massive ball of energy that looks like it's at least 150 feet across, sitting in the air menacingly, looking like it's ready to nuke Frieza. One thing that I like quite a bit compared to the manga is the montages of all the various people, places, and things that are contributing to the spirit bomb, and the anime really takes time to show this. It's a little thing, but it really makes the attack feel like it's a concerted effort by the universe to fight back against Frieza and take out a force so evil that it feels like a crime against nature itself. Now, if you were there back in the day, you also know that this ish took forever to get through. I remember being a kid having to watch the show weekly, and it took so unbelievably long for Goku to charge this damn attack. But one thing I gotta give big time credit to is Bruce Faulconer and Faulconer Productions for the absolute banger tracks they put out through this saga and this section in particular. Faulconer's Spirit Bomb theme goes absolutely crazy and made this section with glacial pacing still seem intense and epic despite almost nothing happening. It's hard for me to adequately describe to y'all how iconic some of these compositions are when it comes to Z. As much as I love the original Dragon Ball soundtrack, I also feel like Bruce's work fits it like a glove, and nostalgia hearing stuff like Vegeta's theme Hell's Bells play when I'm rewatching the show takes me right back to my elementary school years in a way that few things can. After noticing the bomb in the air, Piccolo demands that Gohan and Krillin give him their remaining ki. He has a feeling that the attack is not going to go unnoticed by Frieza for much longer, and wants to do what he can to serve as a distraction for as long as possible, while Goku gathers the energy he needs to put an end to things. On the ground, Frieza is finally reaching the limits of his patience watching the Saiyan monkey raise the roof while he runs him through the mud. Much like Master Chief, Frieza prepares to finish the fight. For real this time, knocking Goku in a local pool of water and getting ready to run his fade as he emerges to the surface. But Frieza notices something strange in the water as he makes his way over to exterminate one of the last of the Saiyan race. He notices the reflection of a strange orb in the water and is mad confused because he knows it's not Namek's son. Frieza then finally looks into the air and notices an absolutely massive ball of energy hanging over his head and begins to connect the dots that this monkey wasn't just a really big fan of the YMCA for some reason. This dude was working a mountain attack that was going to leave him up in smoke like Planet Vegeta. Absolutely livid that this lowly creature was still attempting to fight back in his final moments, Frieza points his finger at Goku to deliver one final death beam to secure the end of the fight. Before this can happen though, Piccolo plants his paper bag 11s into the side of Frieza's dome piece and he goes flying halfway across what's left of Namek. Piccolo tells Goku that he put every bit of energy he had left into that attack, so Goku needs to finish a spirit bomb yesterday before Frieza comes back, cause dude is gonna be rightfully pissed off and he has nothing left in the tank to hold him off. Piccolo watches as Frieza emerges into the air from the mountain he just got kicked into and starts pressing Goku like crazy to throw that spirit bomb right now or he's gonna find a way to do it for him. Before Frieza can enact his wrath, he is attacked yet again, this time by Gohan and Krillin, who put every bit of the remaining ki they had left in a blast blast just to try to hold off Frieza for a few more moments in the hope that the attack would be prepared. By this point, Frieza is now completely done with everything and everyone. The tyrant lifts his index finger in preparation for nuking the entire planet, but it is right at this moment that Goku finishes the Genkidama, and at the cries of Piccolo and all of his friends, Son puts everything he has into directing the massive ball of energy directly on top of Frieza's head. I love this part so much. It feels like you can feel the weight of the spirit bomb as it makes a slow descent to Namek's surface. The shots of the Dama from outer space do a lot to sell just how massive of an attack this is, and really helps the viewer understand that this is no ordinary blast. That technique Goku fired off carries with it the life force of every piece of life on Namek and even outside of it, and really helps sell the idea that the galaxy decided that Frieza's time was up and it was time for him to pay the troll's toll.
Did you bring the toll? Confound your lousy toll, troll!
Frieza peeps the blast, and as it collides with his body, does everything he can to resist it. I really like this moment not only for the spectacle, but for what it represents karmically as well. All of Frieza's arrogance has finally led him to this moment. His underestimation of his opponent, his lack of discipline, and unwillingness to learn to read energy, the ill will he built up from all the living creatures on every planet he touched down on. All of it led him to this moment where he has finally come face to face with all of his sins, and there's no escape. The Genkidama finally touches the surface, with Frieza in it, and a massive explosion can be seen from outer space and devastates the land. A brilliant flash of light escapes the blast and moments pass. Eventually, we see that Gohan survived the impact and he goes to help an exhausted Krillin out of the water. As the two catch their breath, Gohan worries that Goku and Piccolo may not have made it out of the blast alive. Krillin tells Gohan that the two of them are too tough to die and that they should continue looking around. Eventually, Krillin and Gohan see Piccolo wash up on the shore with a completely drained Goku in hand. Moving as fast as they can with the limited energy they have left, the two greet Piccolo and Goku in one of my favorite moments in the arc. Without sharing words, we see our heroes excitedly cheer and congratulate one another as the slouched over Goku manages to muster a simple thumbs up in approval of their hard-won battle. In the manga, Toriyama does such a great job of conveying emotion and energy through the page, with absolutely zero dialogue needing to be uttered. Using only a few panel layouts, we as the viewer are completely in tune with the emotions of the surviving fighters, and I can only compliment the mastery it takes over the medium to convey such a feeling without dialogue so flawlessly. Goku states that they can take a ship and be back home within 5 days. Krillin lets out a shout, finally remembering that they left Bulma hanging all this time. Goku jokes that Krillin shouldn't yell like that, and he almost thought he saw Frieza again with that screech he just let out. Krillin reminds Goku that Bulma is low-key scarier than Frieza when she's in the right mood. Piccolo remarks that the planet Namek has seen great devastation, but with Frieza being taken down, he hopes the Great Elder can now lie in peace. Krillin does a double take as I hold up. How do you even know about the Great Elder? But before he can finish that thought, he sees a ghost from the recent past that left him absolutely speechless. Looking up to see what has Krillin so shook, Goku and company wake up from their short-lived celebration to see Frieza-sama injured, but alive. And before they can even conceive of how to respond, Frieza shoots a death beam that pierces Piccolo directly through the chest, causing him to collapse solidly to the ground below directly in front of his friends. Frieza informs the remaining Zeta warriors that he was not a big fan of that last attack, and that even he thought he might be dead for a moment. In absolute panic, Goku demands that Krillin and Gohan take his ship, find Bulma, and leave the planet immediately. Krillin tells Goku that there's no way they can leave him alone and that staying here alone with Frieza is like giving your life away. A desperate Goku at the edge of his patience yells at Krillin, telling him that if they stay, they'll only be in the way. Frieza laughs at the interaction, telling Goku that he's a fool beyond compare if he thinks he's about to let any of them off this planet alive. Frieza then proceeds to lift Krillin into the air. Goku pleads for Frieza to let him down, but all Frieza does is smile coldly as he balls his hands into a fist and ends Krillin's life in a violent explosion. Gohan and Goku watch this spectacle in pure horror, as their longtime friend and comrade had his life stolen from him in seconds like he was less than an insect inching across the dirt. Frieza laughs at their despair, telling Goku that it looks like Gohan's turn is next. Then, something within Goku changes. Never in his life has Goku felt like such a failure, overcoming every limit of strength that stood in front of him, and using every last ounce of that strength to put an end to Frieza's evil. None of it was enough. And now he stands here and is forced to watch the people he cares about the most lose their lives in front of him, completely unable to do a thing to protect them. and a piece of Goku snaps. Goku grows eerily quiet. The sky of Namek starts to darken and light begins to erupt from the skies as if the heavens themselves are in fear about what's to come. We see the cheerful and optimistic Goku hunched over in a solemn depression and rage as his muscles twitch and nearly every vein in his body becomes visible. After a blinding flash, Goku becomes visible once again, but this time he's different. Not only is his once charcoal colored hair now a bright shade of yellow, but his very nature seems different. Gone is the merciful and carefree warrior Frieza was so gleefully demolishing earlier. In its place stands the warrior formed out of tragedy and hellish anger. What stands before Frieza now is Son Goku, the Super Saiyan. And here, my friends, is where we'll call it for today. Look, do I even need to say anything about this episode? Anime and manga history right here, pure and simple. Join me next time as a transformed Goku works to pay back Frieza for each and every sin he committed tenfold, as the battle on Namek reaches a new peak, and two warriors beyond compare mercilessly duke it out to see who reigns supreme once and for all. Be easy, y'all, and I'll talk to you in the next video.